The vault sits quietly above the Arctic Circle, carved into rock that has been cold for thousands of years. It was not built to be hidden, but it was never meant to attract attention. There are no signs pointing travelers toward it, no visitor center, no daily tours. From the outside, it appears almost incidental, as if it belongs to the landscape rather than standing apart from it. Snow settles around the entrance for much of the year. The light changes slowly with the seasons. In winter, darkness lingers. In summer, the sun barely sets. The environment itself reinforces the purpose of the place: steadiness, predictability, and time measured in decades rather than days. Inside the mountain, behind thick doors and long corridors, seeds are stored, not as symbols, not as artifacts, but as working material for the future. The idea of preserving seeds is older than modern science. Farmers have always saved a portion of their harvest for the next planting. Over generations, this practice shaped crops to local climates, soils, and needs. Wheat adapted to dry plains, rice adapted to flooded fields. Beans, lentils, maize, and countless other crops evolved alongside the people who depended on them. This process created diversity quietly. Each region developed its own varieties, often indistinguishable to outsiders, but critically important to those who grew them. These differences were not decorative. They determined whether a crop survived drought, resisted disease, or matured before frost. As agriculture modernized, something subtle changed. High-yield varieties became widespread. Mechanization favored uniformity. Global trade reduced the immediate need for local adaptation. Fields began to look the same across continents. Productivity increased, but diversity narrowed. Scientists noticed this not as a crisis, but as a pattern. When crops become genetically similar, they also become collectively vulnerable. A pest that adapts to one field can adapt to many. A disease that overcomes one resistance can spread quickly. Resilience depends on variation, even when that variation seems unnecessary in stable times. This realization led to the creation of seed banks. Seed banks are not museums. They are living libraries. Seeds are collected, cleaned, dried, tested, and stored under controlled conditions. Periodically, they are grown again to produce fresh seed, ensuring viability is maintained. Each sample is documented carefully: where it came from, what traits it carries, how it behaves. These facilities operate quietly, often with limited funding, and often in places far from public awareness. Many are attached to agricultural research centers or universities. Some are national, some are regional. All of them depend on continuity. And continuity is fragile. A seed bank requires electricity to maintain cold temperatures. It requires staff to monitor conditions. It requires stability over decades. War, economic collapse, natural disaster, or simple neglect can interrupt that continuity quickly. The question that emerged among agricultural scientists was not dramatic, but practical. What happens if a seed bank fails? The answer was not to centralize all seeds in one place, but to duplicate them. The concept behind the Svalbard Global Seed Vault was redundancy, a backup of backups, a place that did not replace existing seed banks, but supported them silently. Each participating institution could deposit copies of its seeds, retaining ownership and control. The location was chosen carefully. Svalbard sits far north, politically stable, geologically quiet, and naturally cold. Even without active refrigeration, the surrounding permafrost provides long-term cooling. The vault is embedded deep in solid rock, protected from surface weather and gradual climate variation. The design reflects restraint. There are no elaborate displays. Storage rooms are functional. Shelving is simple. The seeds are sealed in standardized packages designed to minimize moisture and oxygen exposure. Everything is meant to reduce intervention rather than require it.
Deposits arrive quietly.
Crates are transported carefully, often after long journeys. Each shipment represents years of work done elsewhere, collecting seeds from farmers, testing them, documenting them. By the time they reach the vault, the urgency has already passed. What remains is stewardship.
Most of the time, nothing happens.
The vault is checked, temperatures are logged, doors remain closed. Years pass without incident. This stillness is not inactivity. It is preservation working as intended. Then, without warning or announcement, the system was used. When conflict disrupted agricultural research facilities in parts of the Middle East, seed collections were suddenly at risk. Power could not be guaranteed. Staff could not work safely. Decades of carefully curated genetic material faced potential loss. There was no emergency broadcast, no public alarm. Instead, documentation was reviewed. Access protocols were followed. Seeds were withdrawn from the vault calmly and methodically. They were sent to new locations, grown out to regenerate fresh stock, and later returned to storage. The system behaved exactly as designed. This moment did not change the purpose of the vault. It confirmed it. Seed banking is not about predicting specific disasters. It is about accepting that uncertainty is permanent. Climate patterns shift slowly, then suddenly. Pests evolve. Economic systems strain. Infrastructure fails. None of these events require drama to be real. Seeds offer time. Each preserved variety represents an option that does not expire quickly. Some seeds can remain viable for decades under proper conditions. Others require periodic renewal. All of them extend the range of possible responses available to future farmers and scientists. The work continues quietly. New varieties are collected, often from regions where traditional farming practices still preserve diversity. Older samples are tested and refreshed. Documentation is updated. The vault grows not by expansion, but by completeness. Most people will never think about seed banks while buying food or preparing meals. They will never see the vault or know what rests inside it. That invisibility is intentional. Food security does not announce itself when it succeeds. It appears as continuity, as crops that grow when expected, as markets that remain stocked, as seasons that feel ordinary. As you fall asleep, seeds rest in darkness and cold, unchanged by the passing of the day above them. They do not grow. They do not decay quickly. They simply wait, without urgency. The world continues to change, and quietly, the future keeps its options open.